I actually backed Viktor Gyokeres in the league to score a minimum of 20 goals. Yes, people, welcome back to my channel. Romario Webster here. Before we get into today's video, please make sure to like, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. Road to 500 subscribers has started. We've all got to start somewhere, and the road to 500 is where we're starting. But let's get into today's video. We're going to be looking at why Viktor Gyokeres can change Arsenal for the better and hopefully deliver us that major trophy we've been craving. Now, where I want to begin is looking at Viktor Gyokeres' performance in front of goal last season. Basically, his XG, his performance in and around the box. Now, in the league for Viktor Gyokeres last season, the 24-25 season, he had 139 shots with 58% of them being on target. He scored 39 goals and had an XG of 30.91. For those of you who don't really understand how XG works or how they work it out, it's basically the quality of the shot and the probability of it resulting in a goal. So Gyokeres was basically, according to XG, on par to score 30.9, which is basically 31 goals, and he scored 39. So he outperformed his XG by 8 goals, and that's the sort of striker Arsenal was signing this summer. Just to further break it down, 39 goals in 139 shots. That is basically every 3.5 or 3 shots, more probably closer to 4 shots Gyokeres takes in the Portuguese league results in a goal. Now, I know the Portuguese league is different to the Premier League, but you can't deny the ability of someone to finish. You can see from his shot map, majority of his goals do come from inside the box, but he's shooting from in and around the box. There's about 4 goals from outside the area there, but he's a bagsman inside the box, and that's where a lot of people have said Arsenal needs to improve, is scoring goals in the box, nicking goals. And Gyokeres nicks goals from anywhere. Everywhere and anywhere he scores. Now, another part of Viktor Gyokeres' game I want to talk about is his ability to create chances for his teammates. He's not just a bagsman, he also is a man who likes an assist. Now, as you can see from on screen here, he got 7 assists, outperforming his expected assists, not by much. But he also made 496 successful passes. People have criticised his ability to link up play with his teammates, but as you can see there, he's pretty good. He's pretty accurate with his passing, created 62 chances for his teammates. Now, Arsenal are a team that create loads of chances, and a lot of the time they're not converted. But in Viktor Gyokeres, not only are you getting a man who's going to finish his chances, he's going to create some for the likes of Bukayo Saka, Kai Havertz, Martin Odegaard as well. And this is very interesting. I find this almost as interesting as all the other stats. But since the 23-24 season to the end of last season, 24-25, Viktor Gyokeres has scored the most goals in Europe. This is considering all leagues. So this isn't the top 5 leagues. This is League A, Championship, Premier League, Serie A. This is all leagues. And Viktor Gyokeres is number 1. And this also, by the way, is non-penalty goals, because Gyokeres, as I mentioned, has been criticised for his penalties. But 51 non-penalty league goals in 2 seasons is very, very impressive. Whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter what league it's in. It's impressive. You've got to say it's impressive. One of the key things here for me personally is there's no Arsenal player on that list. There isn't one Arsenal player in that top 20 that has scored 31 goals or more in the last 2 seasons in the league. And that's a problem. One of the things I want to look at as well is how Viktor Gyokeres will link up with his teammates, the likes of Martin Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, Martin Zubimendi, Declan Rice, Noni Madueke or Martinelli on the left wing, whoever's out there. One of the key ways Mikel Arteta plays is from pressing from the front, being defensively astute. And I just want to look at 2 of our key players who tend to play most of our games, how they link with Viktor Gyokeres. Now, Martin Odegaard, you might be thinking, why am I looking at his defensive stats? And there's probably about 2 or 3 key stats here I want to look at. The most key here is possession won in the final third. He's won the ball 23 times. Now, this is the statistics for the Premier League 24-25 season. Odegaard is in the top 90% for possession won in the final third for players who play in a similar position. So you're talking about the likes of Cole Palmer, McAllister, those sort of players, Bruno Fernandes, who play in a similar position to Odegaard, and he's in the top 90%. Arsenal are always key on winning the ball back half the pitch. Blocked, 19 passes blocked from Martin Odegaard. It's all about stopping the opposition getting out. Bukayo Saka's stats are almost more interesting because he's so key to Arsenal's defence from the front. He's won 119 duels, blocking 26 passes and winning possession in the final third 23 times, the exact same as Martin Odegaard. Now, you might be asking yourself, what does this have to do with Viktor Gyokeres and him being our striker. Now, this is what has to do. As much as, like I've said, the attack is important, the defense is also important, and Viktor Gyokeres offers that to the team. Now, as you can see from his defending stats, this is once again from the Portuguese league, so I know what you're thinking. This is the Premier League, it's different. However, you can't deny these stats, okay? Viktor Gyokeres has won 182 duels. He's the best at it as a striker in the Portuguese league. He wins 50% of his duels. He wins his aerial duels as well. He's been criticised for his heading, but he will battle. He'll be about. He'll put himself out there. But this is very interesting to me. 6 interceptions, 28 blocks, 75 recoveries, and possession in the final third 31 times. Gyokeres will not let the defence have a single moment of peace. Now, in Kai Havertz, we do already have someone who likes to press and puts pressure on the front line, but what Viktor Gyokeres brings you is goals alongside that pressing. Havertz is a key player for the team, important. He's done his part, but what we need now is goals. And in Viktor Gyokeres, you don't lose the defensive aspect. That's what I think is key. And another player I want to look at in those defending stats is Martin Zubimendi. Of course, we signed Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad. He played in the friendly against AC Milan on Wednesday, and he looked very impressive. But I just want to look at Zubimendi's defending stats because he's a key part to our attack as well. Now, Zubimendi in the league last season won 37% of his tackles, won 164 of his duels, winning just under 60% of those. He wins his aerial duels as well. 44 interceptions, 44 fouls committed, which isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes you need your DM to break up play. Zubimendi recovered the ball 140 times and won possession in the final third 10 times. So that is, once again, just to be clear, for players in a similar position to him in La Liga. Now, you see it there. Mikel Arteta loves players who win duels, who win their battles and get possession back fast. When you combine Zubimendi, Odegaard, Saka and Gyokeres, these are all attackers who love to defend. They win the ball back quick, but most importantly, they win the ball high up the field. And that is key to how Arsenal play. I'm telling you, I'm starting to see how this works very well. I don't want to hear too much doubt. Another key area where I think Viktor Gyokeres will thrive in the Arsenal team is because of Martin Odegaard's passing. I think Martin Odegaard suffers a little bit from having a lack of runners in front of him, having a lack of players who want to cut him behind and head towards the goal. Martinelli's one of those players, but often is told to stay on the left-hand side. Kai Havertz hasn't really got the pace, and Saka once again has a lot of duties, holding the whip, being out wide and creating chances for his teammates. Now, if we look at Martin Odegaard's passing stats for the Premier League last season, he got 8 assists, which is right up there with other players in his position. He actually outperformed his expected assists. But you can see from his successful passes, his chances created, 63 chances created. That is a significant amount of chances over the space of a 38 league game season. He's creating chances every game, all the time. And Viktor Gyokeres is someone who will finish them. But one stat that I find interesting is accuracy of his long balls. 68.4% long ball accuracy. It's very high, as you can see, for players in a similar position. A lot of Viktor Gyokeres' goals for Sporting Lisbon come from him running in behind, bullying defenders, holding them off as he goes on to score. And I think we'll see a lot more next season. Odegaard pinging a pass straight forward, more direct to Viktor Gyokeres you can break, rather than doing the passing, short passing, building up. Because we haven't got anyone really in the forward line who can run from deep. Martinelli, we saw in the Bernabeu last season as he scored the second goal, ran from quite deep and slotted it past Courtois. You will get space, especially in tournament football, and Viktor Gyokeres thrives for that. And I think you'll see a lot more of that from Martin Odegaard, his passing going long. If we look at Bukayo Saka's passing stats, this is all from the Premier League last season. 10 assists for Saka, outperforming his expected assist. His passing accuracy is high. Saka created 58 chances last season, 37 successful crosses. Viktor Gyokeres will thrive with that. People have criticised his heading ability, but you see it even from the likes of Erling Haaland. And no, I'm not comparing Viktor Gyokeres to Haaland, but Haaland scores a lot of goals in the box, not necessarily with his head, but just waiting for the ball to land and strike him first time. I think Viktor Gyokeres is someone who will thrive off of those similar types of balls into the box. We look at Bukayo Saka in possession. Successful dribbles 41, touches in opposition box 181. You might be asking me, why am I looking at that? And that is because I see Bukayo Saka a lot of the time. A lot of these stats, until you see it, don't mean anything. And when you look at Bukayo Saka, a lot of the time he'll beat his man in the box and square it and no one's there. It happened all throughout last season. Saka getting into the box, threading it across and no one's there. Now Viktor Gyokeres is there. But Bukayo Saka getting into the opposition box, beating his fullback and firing it across the box. I can just see Viktor Gyokeres cleaning up. He's always in the opposition box, Saka, but a lot of the time his passes are met with no one. One of the key arguments that is made against Viktor Gyokeres that I've mentioned in this video is He doesn't do it against the top opposition in the world. He's doing it in the Portuguese league, which granted the quality isn't as high. Let's look at his Champions League stats, because he obviously played in the Champions League for Sporting Lisbon last season and he was impressive. And this is something for me, if you deny his stats in the Champions League, you're in denial. You're in denial about Viktor Gyokeres because you either don't like him or he's just not the sort of player that you fancy. And that's also okay. That's understandable. As we look here, basic Viktor Gyokeres' shot statistics: 24 shots, 6 goals, and XG of 4.6, with 46% of his shots being on target. Now, a lot of people talk about his penalties. He did score 2 penalties, but penalties are there to be converted. You have to convert them. But Viktor Gyokeres is clinical. We also see, as I mentioned previously, his chances created are still impressive in the Champions League against top opposition. Viktor Gyokeres got 1 assist, had 115 successful passes. He created 17 chances. 17 chances created in 8 games is impressive for a striker that's expected to score goals. People are accusing Gyokeres of not being very effective in the link-up and the build-up play. I think that's a lie. I think the stats here show you he's played against Europe's best and he's still creating chances. He's still performing. If we just take a look at Viktor Gyokeres' defending in the Champions League as well as his in-possession stats: 8 successful dribbles, 266 touches, 43 touches in the opposition box, and 11 fouls won. He is a battler. He will lead the line for you. Viktor Gyokeres has no fear of any defender in Europe, in the world. Now, he could do some work on his aerial duels and his duels won. This is where Viktor Gyokeres' criticism rings a little true, is that against the top opposition, I mean, a lot of them stats are probably because he played Saliba and Gabriel, but I'm just speculating, but he does have some work to do when it comes to winning duels in the Champions League. However, he's blocked 5 passes, but he did commit 11 fouls, which, as I said, fouls aren't always a bad thing. And yeah, I'm just really excited for Viktor Gyokeres. I think he'll change the way Arsenal play, which isn't a bad thing. I think we need to change the way we play. I think we could be a bit more direct. I actually back Viktor Gyokeres in the league to score a minimum of 20 goals. I think he can score 20 goals. I think he can get 25 to 30 in all competitions. With Viktor Gyokeres, I think he's the difference Arsenal need. I think he's a difference maker. Will he win us the league? Maybe. Maybe. With the business Liverpool look like they're doing, their problem. Everyone's always improving, but I think with Viktor Gyokeres, your chances of winning the league are definitely increased. They're definitely much better than with a Kai Havertz up front or relying on Gabriel Jesus who has his injury issue. So I'm excited, as you can tell. And yeah, this video, I just wanted to look at the statistics behind Viktor Gyokeres. When it comes to his attacking output, you can have no doubts about this man. He is going to deliver for Arsenal, and yeah, I'm pretty confident. That's it for today's video though, people. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications so you know when I drop one, and I guess I'll see you next time. Peace!